Welcome to Coffee and Books channel. In this video we will present the summary of Ferocious by Jeff Strand. Rusty Moss is an antisocial man who chose to live in his cabin in the woods, far away from human interaction. He lives a calm life minding his own business, with only a few trips once in a while to the town nearby to buy the most basic needs like food and medical supplies. He makes a living by making furniture out of wood, like tables and chairs. He was good making them too. One day while he was in his cabin, he saw a car approaching the cabin. That was a rare occurrence since no one lived nearby. A man stepped from the car and approached Rusty. He asked him if his name was Rusty Moss. Then he introduced himself. His name was Gran Hollander. He said that he's a lawyer and that he had some bad news. Rusty's sister Laurie Richards and her husband Flynn Richards both were involved in a car accident. They both died as a result, but the good news is that their little daughter, who was with them in the back seat during the accident, is still alive. She was in Grant's car. He asked Rusty if he is willing to take her, since he was her only close relative. Rusty was shocked by the news. He felt sad for the loss of his sister and his brother-in-law, and felt sympathy for the baby. Rusty is not quite sure what to make of the task. This is his kin, of course, but he's not fatherly material. He lives in a cabin out in the woods. What can he possibly offer a little fragile thing like his infant niece? In the end, he accepts the responsibility. The story then skips ahead 17 years. Mia is a grown young woman, and Rusty is afraid she's been sheltered a little too much from the world. He has raised his niece since she was a baby. Now that she's almost 18, he's worried that the life he's given her, living off the grid in a cabin deep in the woods, is holding her back from her full potential. So he decided to ask her if she wants to go out of the cabin for a while and see for herself the outer world, and then decide if she wants to keep living in the cabin or choose to live in the city, the civilized world. He invited her to go for a walk in the woods and talk for a while. He told her about his idea. She considered it, and told him that she will think about it. As they reached the creek in the woods, they saw what looked like a dead deer lying half in and half out of the creek. Finding wild animals here was rare. Nature cleaned itself up pretty quickly. The deer was torn to pieces, but it was all accounted for, meaning that it was killed and torn to bits but not eaten. Now that was rare, for the only reason animals kill each other in the woods is to feed. Feeling insecure and confused, they decided to head back to the cabin. Maybe whatever killed the deer was still around and could show up any moment. They headed back to the cabin, still wondering about what could have happened to the deer, trying to forget about it all. They wanted to get some rest and sleep. That same night Rusty woke up in the middle of the night after hearing strange noises coming from the outhouse. Mia was up too. After hesitating, he decided to go out to investigate. Mia stayed at the door holding a flashlight so that Rusty could see where he was going. After going to the outhouse, he found out the source of the strange noise. It was a squirrel that had his legs stuck. But something was strange with this particular squirrel. He had bloodshot eyes and was making noises and twitching, trying to free itself. Rusty helped freeing the little squirrel, and was heading back to the cabin. Suddenly, the squirrel jumped on him and was trying to scratch and bite him. The squirrel was going crazy. It wasn't behaving like a normal squirrel would behave. Rusty tried to catch him, but the squirrel was too quick. It climbed his back trying to bite him. Mia grabbed the machete and lunged with the weapon at the squirrel. After missing a few times, she finally got the little bastard, cutting it in half. After examining the little animal, they saw that it was zombie-like, with chunks of meat missing in its body. Feeling confused, Rusty decided to take the dead squirrel to a veterinarian to see and examine it, so he put the squirrel in the back of the car. The next morning the squirrel was missing. Rusty wondered if another animal was the culprit. He went with Mia to the nearest town to buy some stuff and asked the mini-market clerk for a veterinarian. The clerk showed them the location of one nearby. After visiting the veterinarian, Rusty told him the story about the squirrel and how it had bloodshot eyes and kept moving even after cutting it in half. The veterinarian didn't believe him and told him to leave. Feeling angry about what just happened, Rusty stormed out of the veterinarian office and went back on his way. The weather was bad during the trip. It started raining heavily, and to Rusty and Mia's misfortune, the car got stuck in mud, with 3 miles left to the cabin, so they decided to walk to the cabin and come back later for the car. That night while he was on the porch, Rusty saw a familiar figure crawling towards him. To his surprise, it was that same squirrel from the other night, with half its body missing. Rusty now was sure that it was a zombie squirrel who refused to die. After managing to kill that stubborn squirrel, they felt relieved. This turns out to be a big mistake because more than the squirrels have been affected by whatever is going on in the woods. A lot of animals are turning mean, becoming apparently unkillable, and Rusty and Mia look like pretty good snacks. At first, it's just a squirrel, shockingly violent and almost impossible to kill. Followed by a grizzly bear, who showed up growling, with a hole in his chest and bloodshot eyes. They decided to kill the bear before more zombie animals show up. They had a lot of weapons to use. Rusty fetched from the outhouse a petrol-engine chainsaw, while Mia used a rifle. The grizzly was aggressive and resilient, even when point-blank shotgun blasts to the face are involved. Rusty and Mia hardly managed to kill that grizzly bear with multiple blasts using shotgun and rifle, before another relatively smaller one showed up running towards the cabin. They stayed inside the cabin hiding from the wild zombie bear. Mia had an axe and Rusty used a powerful petrol-engine chainsaw to defend their cabin. The bear was too large to fit inside the window to get inside the cabin. It got stuck, so Rusty took the chance to cut it and stab it with the sharp chainsaw, while managing to stay out of reach of its enormous claws. Feeling exhausted, they heard growling sounds outside. Rusty peeked and saw a pack of zombie wolves lurking outside. They were trying to get inside and took turns slamming their body to the cabin wood trying to break in. Rusty and Mia managed to protect the cabin's windows and doors with wood boards, and also wrapped their bodies with the wood so they can protect themselves from the wild animal's jaws. At last, one wolf managed to get inside and Rusty attacked him with the chainsaw, but wolves are too quick. It was hard for Rusty to hit the wolf. It took several swings to finally manage to cut it. As animals are afraid of fire, Rusty lit up a wood board and began swinging at the wild intruders. One wolf caught fire in its fur and ran hysterically all over the cabin. As the cabin is made of wood, it quickly caught fire. Now it was only a matter of time before Rusty and Mia would have to escape the cabin and face all kinds of wild zombie animals outside in the woods. They will lose their only shelter. After a while defending the wild attacks inside the cabin, they finally decided to make a run for it. They stood at the cabin porch. The cabin was burning with fire, so there was only a narrow passage between the wolves and the porch where Rusty and Mia were standing. So they attacked the wolves one by one. After managing to hurt a lot of wolves, they decided to run for their lives through the woods, heading towards their truck. Suddenly on the way, they encountered another pack of wolves. To escape, they climbed a tree to get out of the wolves' reach. Rusty then decided to kill the wolves by using the chainsaw from above. He climbed down the tree just enough to reach the wolves at the base and began swinging the chainsaw left and right until the very last wolf was dead. After a long walk on the main road, Rusty heard a noise, that of a woodpecker pecking on a tree. It turned out to be also infected with whatever infected the other animals. The woodpecker dived, targeting Rusty and Mia. After a few attempts, he finally managed to peck at Mia's left eye. Its peck went all in. Mia shrieked from the pain and grabbed the woodpecker and slammed it on the floor, then stomped on it. Rusty tried to calm her, but she was too furious. She refused to talk about what happened. They resumed their journey to the truck. Rusty saw something ahead moving on the ground. It was a herd of zombie porcupines. They walked carefully around them while cutting them in half with a chainsaw and axe. After getting rid of the porcupines, another huge grizzly bear spotted them and was running to get them. They fired at him with everything they got. Rusty embedded the chainsaw in the bear's belly, and to his surprise Mia got on the bear's back and began stabbing him with the axe. After this violent encounter, they encountered a zombie deer and doe. After cutting the doe's head, Rusty managed to stab the deer with the doe's horns. Finally they reached the truck, but of course it wouldn't be without the wild zombie creatures waiting for them. They found a large group of squirrels and snakes laying ahead. They began slicing at the squirrels furiously with the chainsaw and the axe. After killing them all, they heard a strange noise coming from the back of the truck. It was a fused monster with the heads of 3 wild hogs and 2 red foxes. To Rusty's horror, the anomaly was heading towards him, making all sorts of terrifying growling. Rusty swung the axe at the neck of one of the hogs, but it didn't manage to cut it off. As he was being surrounded by the 5 heads, he decided to crawl his way out of there. As he was crawling, the monster stomped on him various times. Mia came to the rescue. She grabbed Rusty's hand from beneath the monster, and pulled him up. They ran to the truck and managed to push away the damn anomaly. As they raced to civilization, they encountered another car on the main road. They joined the driver, feeling relieved that they have escaped the horrific nightmare. The driver told them that all the animals in the woods are infected, as the infection spread through a liquid in the river. The source of the infection was still unknown. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more.